That's a big old beefy Mac Mini with a new display. What? 2,000 bucks? Oh. They're not gonna drop a 27-inch iMac? Oh, Mac Studio. I'm ordering now, everybody. It's open. Done! Yes! Your 27-inch iMac is dead. And if you want to replace that 27-inch iMac, a computer that costs $1,799 for the base model, you're going to have to spend a whopping $3,846. How does that add up? We'll watch to the end and find out. Also, what's going to be a good nickname for this new Mac Studio? Does it even qualify for one? The Mac Pro is the cheese grater. The 2013 Mac Pro is, of course, the trash can. Is the new Mac Studio the retaining wall block? That's kind of a mouthful to be a good nickname, but it's the first thing that comes to mind when I look at it. Yes, a retaining wall block. Now, yesterday's Apple event ushered in some exciting new tech, an iPhone SE in an all-new green color, and an M1 powered iPad Air. Don't care, just get to the Mac Studio. One thing I will say about the M1 powered iPad Air is that this bodes well for the future of the iPad lineup, heck, possibly even the Pro iPhones moving forward. What can an M1 chip make an iPad or an iPhone 14 Pro capable of? Final Cut Pro on the iPad finally? Maybe even Logic Pro on an iPad? Maybe a bunch of stuff we can't even think of yet, but once we have it, we're going to be all, are you kidding me? Well, we're all going to find out soon, I'm sure. Well, it's hard to even try to think of that stuff when in a single event, Apple kills, murders, and buries the 27-inch iMac and any hopes for an iMac Pro, and in a way resurrects the 2013 Mac Pro trash can by introducing the all-new Mac Studio. What does the Mac Studio have to do with the 2013 Mac Pro? Well, I think Apple was ahead of its time with the 2013 Mac Pro. I know, not a popular opinion, and I know that sounds crazy, but it wasn't in regards to that Mac Pro being a truly pro desktop meant for high-end workflows in film post-production, 3D animation, virtual reality, 2D motion graphics design, etc., etc. Those pros really did need the 2019 Mac Pro back in 2013, and when the trash can rolled out instead with essentially zero modularity, reduced in and out expandability, and an overall design that meant you were stuck with the AMD graphics cards it came with forever, the whole gamble really backfired, and the Pro user base, discouraged as well by the botched rollout of Final Cut Pro 10, felt that Apple wasn't listening to them anymore, that we were no longer seen, no longer heard as Apple ramped up their focus on iOS devices and their exploding services business. Now, did a lot of pros end up getting a 2013 Mac Pro anyway? Absolutely. Third-party manufacturers, for the most part, came to the rescue with eGPUs, external storage solutions, and a few other peripherals that allowed pros to make it work for 6 years while they waited for the 2019 Mac Pro. But those third-party devices never truly delivered like the third-party devices did on the 2010 and earlier Mac Pros. And when the 2019 Mac Pro came out, so many of us were ecstatic, relieved, thrilled to see this new iteration on the legendary G5 and early Intel cheese grater Mac Pros. But for me, when the substantial price tag of the 2019 Mac Pro was revealed, $6,000 for a surprisingly underpowered base model Mac Pro, and the 2013 Mac Pro was officially discontinued, there were a lot of professional users like me who felt left out. Maybe not right away, but as the months went on and we struggled to keep our 2013 Mac Pros relevant to 4K H.264 workflows, 3D animation, and heavy motion graphics creation, still not convinced that a 2019 Mac Pro was worth spending upwards of $10,000 to make it future-proof, those feelings of being unseen, unheard, intensified. The 2019 Mac Pro was just more computer than I personally needed, and not necessarily the processors and RAM, but the physical device itself. It's huge, it's heavy, it's packed with in and out potential, but it's way more than I or a lot of other users like me needed. And with M1 rolling out in the MacBook Air, Mac Mini, and 13-inch MacBook Pro in late 2020, less than a year after the release of the 2019 Mac Pro, I knew investing in an Intel machine was a bad idea. So we saw the 2013 Mac Pro retain a pretty good resale value on eBay during this time because there was no middle option for Pro users who are working on social media content, YouTube content, live streaming, corporate and client video, short films, and documentaries. The only solution was a 2013 Mac Pro, and eBay had plenty of options for users like me who needed to bridge the gap between an M1 Mac Mini and the 2019 Mac Pro. And what a gap that was, more like a continental divide. But what about the 27-inch iMac? Well, the 27-inch iMac lacked the in and out connectivity that we needed. It has 4 USB-A 3.0 ports, ports, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, gigabit Ethernet, and an SD card slot. The 2013 Mac Pro is loaded with in-and-out connectivity with 6 Thunderbolt 2 ports, 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, HDMI, 4 USB-A 3.0 ports. This makes the 27-inch iMac a significant downgrade for users like me. The trash can really was the sweet spot for those mid-range pro users. And to add to that, the 27-inch iMac lacked the portability that the 2013 Mac Pro had. I traveled often with my Mac Pro packed safely in a suitcase to work on remote gigs. It was perfect for traveling professionals that needed serious horsepower, and maybe this is what Apple means when they say that the new Mac Studio is modular. It's not that you can pull the case off and add in and out connectivity via PCI Express slots like you can on a 2019 Mac Pro. It's that you can move it around, travel with it, but that's not really what modular means. In fact, that's not what modular means at all. So in 2019, I and many other Mac devotees felt unheard, unseen. There wasn't a Mac that existed that could replace the 2013 Mac Pro. A fully loaded M1 Mac Mini didn't have the I/O connectivity and CPU GPU power that would drive all of my monitors, connect to all of my RAID arrays, as well as my hubs, card readers, and hard drive docks. So I waited, like many of you, waiting for a Mac that would, in essence, replace the 2013 Mac Pro. And the March 8th, 2022 Apple event was that day. Is it a perfect replacement for the Mac Pro? No, but in regards to raw power, it is a monster. No complaints there at all, and with a starting price of only $19.99, it's truly an incredible value. Having spent the last 6 months working on my M1 Pro 14-inch MacBook Pro, I knew that even a base model Mac Studio would be more than enough power to cut all of my YouTube vids, the corporate video projects I edit, and the documentaries I work on. So why am I still a little teeny tiny bit bummed with this Mac Studio? Well, it's the in and out connectivity and the overall design. The 2013 Mac Pro trash can was perfect with all of the ports configured nicely at the back of the computer. For cable management nutjobs like me, it was easy to have everything flowing in one direction, and the trash can's form factor made it easy to have the Mac Pro on your desk or under your desk. The machine wasn't telling you where you should keep it. It was truly up to you. With the new base model Mac Studio having 2 USB-C ports and an SD card slot in the front, it's obvious Apple fully intends for you to have this computer on your desk. I mean, just look at all the footage from the event. Every real-world example shows it on a desktop. Even the name desktop means, well, you're going to have it on your desk. If you want it under your desk, you're going to have to take up precious in and out ports to run an SD card reader or a USB hub or a Thunderbolt dock to the surface of your desk, and you may be missing out on any magic Apple may have with its built-in SD card slot, most likely faster transfer speeds. The Mac Studio has 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, 2 USB-A 3.0 ports, an HDMI port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is great. But I and other pro/prosumer users might have to jump through a few hoops to get RAIDs and multiple displays, especially older Thunderbolt displays and hard drive docks and Thunderbolt hubs and all that connected efficiently, especially if some of us are still using Thunderbolt 2 and Thunderbolt 1 products, because replacing all of these devices, even over the course of a couple of years, adds up to quite a lot of money. Look at the examples Apple's giving of their user base. 3 $1,600 studio displays in your edit bay, in addition to what I assume is a $4,000 plus Mac Studio with M1 Ultra. I mean, you're talking about $10,000 before you factor in external storage and other necessary peripherals. For most users the Mac Studio is perfect for, this isn't really feasible. Hell, the $5K I borrowed to get a base Mac Studio and Studio Display is a huge stretch for me, but I'm gonna say it was necessary. Maybe not the Studio Display, but I truly could not go on a minute longer with the 2013 Mac Pro. Sure, it's great for productivity, surfing the web, watching YouTube vids, but the minute I factor in Final Cut Pro in my 4K content creation workflow, that's where things really grind to a halt, especially when you factor in this convenient audio waveform bug that started with Final Cut Pro 10.6. My Mac Pro has become unusable with Final Cut Pro because of this, and when my 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro can export a 4K YouTube video in 15 minutes when it takes 3 hours for my Mac Pro, you know that your trash can is ready for Well, the trash can. So the new Mac Studio to me is a welcome replacement for my 2013 Mac Pro, so I'm happy. But who may not be? I think lovers of the 27-inch iMac are pretty upset about this update. Think about this. Apple has turned the 27-inch iMac into two devices. They divorced the computer from the display and are selling them separately. Just a few days or weeks ago, you could buy a base model 27-inch iMac for $1,799. That gets you a beautiful 5K Retina display and a computer, albeit an Intel-based one. Now, to get the same thing, you need to spend $1,599 on just the display and another $2,000 for the base model Mac Studio. So in essence, Apple has just doubled the cost of a 27-inch iMac. So it's $3,598 for the display and the Mac Studio. But remember what else came with the 27-inch iMac? A Bluetooth keyboard and a mouse. Want those with your new Mac Studio? You're going to spend another $149 for a Magic Keyboard with Touch ID and another $99 for a Magic Mouse, bringing the total price to a whopping $3,846. Bravo, Apple. You have more than doubled the cost of a 27-inch iMac and gotten, I would argue, a good majority of your user base to happily fork over the dough to take advantage of the magic that is M1 Max and I'm sure M1 Ultra. And that to me is one of the big stories from this event. The deletion of the 27-inch iMac and the cost to replace it being more than double what the 27-inch iMac was being sold for just a few days ago. Is Apple eagerly watching sales figures to see if we all took the bait in this bait and switch? Did the siren song of M1 Max and M1 Ultra trick all of the 27-inch iMac devotees into shelling out $4K to replace their obsolete 27-inch Intel iMacs? I think the answer is going to be yes, especially with the help of a year's worth of interest-free payments with your Apple Card. For users like me who are replacing a 2013 Mac Pro, we feel like we're saving money. Even the iMac Pro users will feel that way, I suspect, but the 27-inch iMac users, you're really getting kind of screwed here. Even if you're just a casual user surfing the web, watching vids, even if you decide to pair an M1 Mac Mini with the Studio Display, you're still paying a total of $2,546 for a base configuration, which is about $800 more than the base 27-inch iMac that perfectly met your needs. So what Apple has done is replace the 27-inch iMac with a combination of a Mac Mini and the new Studio Display, and they've replaced the iMac Pro with a combination of a Mac Studio and the new Studio Display. Again, from a business perspective, bravo, Apple. So what has the introduction of the new Mac Studio done to your plans for the Mac in your workflow? Did you buy one? Did you get the Studio Display? Hit me up in the comments to let me know what situation you are in with your current computer and why you did or didn't buy the Mac Studio and or Studio Display. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel and love Final Cut Pro and Apple content, hit subscribe and click the bell. Choose all notifications when you do so you don't miss a notification for a video or a live stream. Give this video a like if you think it would be valuable to other viewers. And until the next one, I'll see you all soon.